Ready to dive into some luxury.
Yeah.
Today, we're setting sail for Santorini. We're going deep into the world of catamaran tours, and yeah, I'm already picturing myself out on that sparkling water.
Oh, it is something else, isn't it? The thing is, you're seeing Santorini from a whole new perspective out on the Aegean Sea.
Yeah, exactly. And, we've been, as always, doing our homework, Reddit threads, travel forums, but especially all those really detailed reviews on GetYourGuide. And there's one tour in particular that really caught our attention, the Santorini luxury catamaran day trip with meal and open bar.
Yeah, that one's a real gem. And can I just say, the fact that you can book it right on GetYourGuide makes things so much easier. User-friendly, secure payments often have those free cancellation options, which, let's be honest, can be a lifesaver when travel plans, inevitably change.
Absolutely. And speaking of GetYourGuide, we've got a link to this specific tour down in the description. Check it out after the deep dive when you're ready to book your trip.
Okay, but let's talk about why this particular tour, out of all the options, really stands out. We're talking luxury here. Spacious catamaran, delicious Greek meal, like real deal dolmadakia, skewers, all the good stuff. Oh, and did I mention open bar with all those local wines and beers, soft drinks, you name it?
Okay, stop. I'm getting serious FOMO over here. But there was one thing I saw pop up quite a bit in the reviews. Do these catamaran tours, do they actually involve sailing, like with the sails in the wind?
Ah, I see where you're going with this. It's easy to get that picture in your head, right? You're gliding across the Aegean, wind in your hair, just like that classic sailing image. But to be honest, a lot of these tours, and this one is included, they mainly use motors for, moving the boat.
Okay, so maybe not the full Captain Jack Sparrow experience.
Yeah.
But hey, the views are still incredible, and you've got that open bar to keep you company.
You got it. And that kind of leads us to that, classic question, morning cruise or sunset cruise.
Ooh, yeah. Tough choice. Both sound amazing, but lay it on me. What are the pros and cons? I need your expert opinion here.
All right. So picture this. Morning cruise. Waters are calm, fewer crowds, and those awesome snorkeling spots. Basically all yours. You're starting your day with adventure, sunking in the tranquility, really peaceful.
Okay, that sounds pretty idyllic. But come on, those sunset views, everyone's always raving about the Santorini sunsets.
Yeah, you're right. The sunset cruises, they're all about capturing that magic, that golden hour, the sky bursting with color as the sun goes down. It's romantic, dramatic. It's just pure Santorini.
Okay, they both sound incredible. Looks like there's no wrong answer there. But let's get down to it. Let's talk about what people are actually saying about this specific tour. Give me the highlights.
Okay, so one reviewer, a myth, he raved about the transportation, how smooth it was. The safety instructions were clear, and of course the sunset, he said it was perfect. Oh, and he called the barbecue superb.
Superb barbecue, luxury catamaran, a Santorini sunset. Okay, where do I sign up? Did any other reviewers mention anything specific?
Oh, yeah. Another traveler, Leanne, she highlighted the just overall luxurious feel of the boat itself. Tons of space for sunbathing and how friendly the hosts were. Really sounds like they go the extra mile to make you feel comfortable and welcome.
Yeah, that personal touch makes a difference for sure. But let's be real, no tour is perfect. Were there any recurring criticisms in the reviews? Anything we should flag?
Let me think. A few people did mention that the food, while there was plenty of it, sometimes it could be, a little overcooked, particularly the chicken and pork.
Okay, so maybe skip the chicken, load up on the dolmadakia. Any other concerns?
Yeah, a handful of reviewers mentioned that the open bar wasn't, fully stocked at times, which meant sometimes drinks were warm or they ran out of certain things.
Ah, the perils of a popular open bar, I guess. But it's a good reminder to stay hydrated and maybe pack a few extra snacks, especially if you're on that sunset cruise and dinner's a little later.
Exactly, good thinking. And speaking of good tips, let's dive into some more practical advice for making the most of your catamaran experience. What are some must-haves for our listeners?
Oh, yeah. Must-haves. Okay. Sunscreen, definitely a hat, swimsuit. Those are non-negotiables. Trust me, you don't want to be the one who gets totally scorched by that Santorini sun or misses out on, taking a dip in the Aegean.
And the change of clothes, too. If you're planning on, taking advantage of those swim stops, don't want to be stuck in soggy clothes the whole time.
No, not a good look. Okay, what about motion sickness? I get a little green around the gills just thinking about being out on a boat.
Yeah, good point. Especially on those windier days, when the water can get a little choppy. So if you're prone to motion sickness, yeah, definitely pack some meds just in case.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. Especially when you got all that delicious food and drinks to enjoy Wouldn't want to waste those.
Speaking of the food, let's go back to that Get Your Guide tour. Any other things that people really raved about in the reviews?
The crew. A lot of people mentioned how friendly and attentive they were. I think one reviewer even said that the crew was, quote, absolutely amazing, end quote. She said it was the best boat experience she'd ever had.
Wow, that's high praise. It really seems like they go above and beyond, really make it special for everyone.
Yeah, I'm picturing the captain taking song requests, cracking jokes, as you're cruising along the caldera. Those little things really make a difference.
For sure. Speaking of the caldera, let's talk itinerary. Visiting the hot springs near the volcano, that seems to be, a classic stop on most catamaran tours.
I've heard mixed things about those hot springs, though. Some people say it's like lukewarm. Others say it's amazing.
Yeah, expectations can definitely vary. I'd say go in with an open mind, It might not be a boiling cauldron, but it's still pretty cool to soak in those volcanic waters.
Yeah, for sure. So besides the hot springs, any other activities that stood out in the reviews?
Swimming and snorkeling, of course. It's the Aegean. Got to take advantage of that crystal clear water. I think one reviewer even specifically mentioned bringing an extra set of clothes so you can really, go for it, not worry about getting wet.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine how refreshing it would be to take a dip in that water, especially if you've been, soaking up the sun on the deck. But, sometimes Mother Nature has other plans. Did anyone mention having to, adjust the itinerary because of weather?
Yeah, a few mentions of tours having to, change the route a bit because of wind or rough seas. One person was a little bummed they couldn't hit all the planned stops, but even they still gave the crew props for, making the best of it.
Yeah, that's good to hear. It's a good reminder that flexibility is key when it comes to boat tours, especially in Santorini. The weather can be a bit unpredictable, but it sounds like the crews are pretty skilled at adapting and making sure everyone has a good time, rain or shine. Well, not literally rain, but you know what I mean.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Talk logistics. Getting to and from the boat, that seemed to be a big topic in the reviews.
Yeah, that Get Your Guide tour, it includes hotel pickup and drop-off, which is so convenient. But I did see some people mention potential delays with that. I think someone said the bus ride back to their hotel in Oyaya took over an hour, even though the pickup spot was minutes from the port.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely something to keep in mind. Check those pickup and drop-off locations, make sure they make sense for your hotel, and maybe factor in some extra time, especially if you're staying in Oyaya. It's gorgeous up there, but it can be a bit of a trek.
So, yeah, maybe plan for a longer breakfast or an early dinner to account for that, just in case. Okay, what about booking? Should people stick to Get Your Guide, or are there other options?
Get Your Guide is great, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's always smart to shop around a bit. Look at different providers, Spiridakos, Santorini Sailing, and Sunset Oyaya. Those were all mentioned as good alternatives in the reviews.
It's all about finding what works for you, right? Do they have morning or sunset cruises?
Right.
What's included in the price? What's the max group size? All things to consider.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to read those reviews, compare prices, and, look for discounts. Especially on platforms like Get Your Guide, they often have special offers and, deals going on.
Good tips. All right, so we've got our essentials: sunscreen, snacks, motion sickness meds if you need them, and a flexible mindset. We've talked about those user experiences, the amazing crew, all those must-do activities, and of course, managing expectations when it comes to weather and transportation.
All good stuff. But now let's zoom out a little bit. How do you choose the right catamaran tour for you, for your needs, for what you really want to get out of it? Let's talk about that.
Okay, so we've sailed through all the details, heard what other travelers had to say, and now it's time to help our listeners chart a course for their own perfect Santorini catamaran adventure.
Right. It's not just about hopping on any random catamaran. It's about finding an experience that really speaks to you. What are you looking for?
Okay, so first things first. What are the main types of catamaran tours out there?
You've got your classic group tours, and then you've got your private tours. Each one caters to a different type of traveler,
Ah, the age-old question. Group travel or solo adventure? But this time, we're on the high seas.
Exactly. So group tours, like that Get Your Guide option we've been talking about, they're great for people who are looking for something a little more budget-friendly and, a bit more social. You get to meet new people, enjoy a fun atmosphere.
Yeah, and that Get Your Guide tour seems to tick a lot of boxes for people. But what about, if you want something a little more exclusive, a little more intimate?
Well, that's where those private tours come in. They give you that flexibility, that personalized service. You can really tailor the itinerary to exactly what you want to see and do.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading a comment on Reddit where Someone splurged on a private catamaran tour and said it was the highlight of their whole Santorini trip. Had the entire boat to themselves, could choose their own swimming spots, even had a private chef making gourmet meals.
Wow, now that is next level luxury. And it just shows you within those two categories, group and private, there's still a whole range of options and prices.
Okay, so we've got morning versus sunset, we've got group size, and then this whole spectrum of luxury, from basic to, full-on pampering. How do we even begin to narrow it down?
I think it starts with figuring out your priorities. What are the must-haves for your ideal Santorini catamaran experience? No compromises.
Oh, for me, it's got to be those sunset views. Out on the water, soaking up that golden hour with a glass of Santorini wine in hand. Yeah, that's the dream.
Sounds perfect. But for someone else, it might be all about swimming in those hidden coves, exploring those volcanic formations, or maybe they're looking for a party vibe on board.
Right, everyone's different. So once you know what you're looking for, then you can start, filtering those options, asking the right questions.
Exactly. Like, what's the maximum group size? What's included in the price? Are there hidden costs? Is there any wiggle room in the itinerary? These are all things to think about.
And don't forget about those practical things like transportation, especially if you're staying all the way up in Ogelia. Factor in some extra time for those hotel pickups and drop-offs.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things I love about Get Your Guide is they're really transparent with all that information. You can see exactly what's included, the cancellation policy, and of course, all those user reviews. So you can get the full picture before you book.
Those reviews are a goldmine. Seriously, you get those insider tips, those real-life perspectives that you just won't find anywhere else.
So true. So before you set sail on your own Santorini catamaran adventure, do your research, read those reviews, and maybe even write down a few questions for the tour provider, just to be sure.
Be an informed traveler, Choose the tour that fits your vision, not someone else's.
And whether you go for a big group adventure or luxurious private sail, just remember to enjoy the moment. Take in the beauty of Santorini and make some memories.
Beautifully said. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Santorini catamaran tours. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to plan your own Aegean escape.
The perfect catamaran tour is out there waiting for you, so go find it. And don't forget to share your stories with us. We love hearing about your adventures.
Until next time, happy sailing, everyone.